Right, this is Station Voice Tower, your most preferred YouTube channel. That hub that shares every file, every information, and disseminates anything that seems to be the truth, and as it affects the Nigerian populace. And also that hub that projects and advocates for good living, good democracy, and a stable governance. My name is Angelo, your anchor, as usual. Now, I would urge you to pick a seat and sit back. I have lots of updates. Okay, Femi Gbajabiamila, the Chief of Staff of Bola Asiwaju Ahmed Tinibu, has been exposed. You know, okay, let me give it to you straightforwardly. You know that some time ago, you have to pay attention and listen to this. Some time ago, some rumor came up that Femi Gbajabiamila was indicted in the US sometime in the early 2000s, and then he ran back to Nigeria. That particular ploy was history was covered up. Everybody was trying to, okay, he's the speaker now. Okay, we said, all right. Now, we have been privileged from our sources to lay our hands on the documents that got him indicted, the judgment that was read the day he was indicted, and everything pertaining to that case. Now, let me read from my source directly. It says, these are documents. Yes, of course, you can see that these are documents that shows Tinibu's Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, was convicted in the US for theft of $25,000. Now listen, these documents I'm going to show you, these documents shows that the Chief of Staff of Bola Tinibu, Femi Gbajabiamila, as a lawyer in the state of Georgia in US, stole or allegedly stole his client's $25,000. Now, after everything, in 2016, he became a lawmaker in Nigeria. I will come to that. Now, I'm going to give you proof. But before I give you a proof, let me tell you how everything unfolded. Now, sometime in 2007, in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, Femi Gbajabiamila, after being called to bar in 2001, had a case from one Hadiyatu Bari, his client. Now, this case was a case of assault on his client, and he took it up, and there was a compensation of $25,000. Now, this Hadiyatu Bari, his client, lived in number 523 Sutas Mill Road, Stone Mountain in Georgia. His office then, in 2003, his chambers had an inscription, Femi, Gbaja, and Sam. He was in partnership with somebody called Sam then. And that particular office was located at number 142 Michael Street, Suite 230 in Georgia. Now, this particular story made Femi Gbajabiamila get indicted. How? He went further after filing the case. He picked up the $25,000 and did not return it to his client. Rather, he preferred to run back somewhere else. Now, I will show you proofs of documents. The first document, as you can see on your screen here, is a sealed copy of the judgment passed on Femi Gbajabiamila by the Supreme Court of the state of Georgia in Atlanta, United States, with case number 5060829. Stay tuned. There are lots of things to be exposed. Second document is the first page that shows in a written form and in a written narrative where Femi Gbajabiamila agreed to accepting a 36-month suspension from the Bar Association, also known as disbarment. That was part of his punishment for having been found guilty of getting away with up to $25,000 meant for his client in 2003. Now, the second document, as you can see here, is a document dated on February 26, 2007. In this page of the document, Femi Gbajabiamila admitted to the crime and the crime of accepting some payments in respect of a client, a payment he never returned in January 2003, as I earlier said. Now, just 2 years after he was called to bar, that was when this thing happened, because he was called to bar in the States in 2001. Now, listen carefully. Femi Gbajabiamila closed his practice in Georgia and moved out of the country. These were all in this page. Let me go further. Now, he later paid, yes, finally, after some years, he later paid the $25,000 back to the client. That was in 2006. After admitting to being remorseful, that means he actually committed the crime. After admitting to being remorseful and that he has complied with the law and its requirements, repaid his client, of course, as I earlier said, and he is willing to accept the sanction of 36 months from bar practice. Now, I have finally, finally, let me say, the front page of the judgment copy. This particular front page is carrying the seal of judgment from the court in Georgia. Then these other two documents that will come finally here are the number one. I would have, this one is called the complaint form, where his former client had yet to bury tabled her complaint through this form. And this form always has the format of you saying, like what we call a statement in the police station in Nigeria. All right. Over here, this particular statement, this particular form is called the complaint form. Now, finally, this form is called a grievance form. It's always having raw details of the complainant and next of kin, as well as personal information of all parties involved. These are original documents that are proof to the fact that Femi Gbajabiamila was indeed indicted to forfeiture of $25,000 sometime in 2006 for a crime he committed in 2003 over a client named one Hadier to Barry that stayed in Georgia with him, somewhere in Stone Mountains. This is a proof. So you should know who these men are and what they are capable of doing. Lots of secrets will be let bare very, very soon. Now, that is that on that particular update. Before I call it quit on that update, I would love to give you a sort of peripheral view. Now, over time, his emergence as a politician has put under scrutiny. Has been put under scrutiny. Lots of people are saying how the Femi Gbajabiamila entered the Nigerian political space, and all of a sudden he is the chief of staff of the president. That confirms the statement that says lots of bad people and lots of people who were former criminals and were formally indicted are actually embedded in this new administration of Bola Tinibu and Kashim Shettima. Let us hope that things get better with time. Okay, you've watched the way things are unfolding in the country, and now after watching whatever is the way things are unfolding in the country, as the reports always get to us here, of course we're always with you, though not physically, but we're always with you and we always speak for you. So after watching everything unfolding, what can you say than to wait for the things that are supposed to be in place to take place? What am I trying to say? I have a very, very respected professor in this next video of mine. I'm speaking about the ongoing Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal, where the judges involved are yet to give a day for the final judgment. And this is becoming so worrisome for Nigerians. Not just those down at home in Nigeria, but even those over in diaspora. They have given different complaints, and in fact, lots of reports were brought to our table today of security operatives harassing people that went on a peaceful all eyes on the judiciary protest. So speaking about the consequences of bad governance and the reason why he feels that the government of the administration of Bola Tinibu is illegitimate until the court affirms otherwise. I have Professor Udenta, a professor of strategic studies and I'm a member of the Abuja School of Thought, where he had to make his grievances known, peacefully though, on what he feels is the cause of the failure in governance in Nigeria. Stay tuned.
Election without democracy. First, the electoral process or the practice of that election was devoid of democratic principles and values. And brilliantly pointed out by the director of the school, Professor Sam Amadi, in his presentation. If you plan to fail, not the political class, not the observers, not the voters, but INEC itself plan to fail by not honoring democratic precepts and values and norms, then such an election will have no democratic value or content. The second most fundamental one is that we're actually building a democratic infrastructure that is really devoid of democratic values. The very fact that of an election shorn of democratic intent, democratic practices, democratic precepts, will mean that you're producing a democratic political system that is answerable to that kind of election. So the election, one, is devoid of democracy, and democracy it produces is devoid of genuine democratic values. That's why it is two-pronged. So the implication is that for us to really restore Nigerian political journey or trajectory to its proper democratic balance, INEC should not plan to fail. And they should observe and honor the principles embedded in the Electoral Act. Respect and honor the principles embedded in the text of this practice direction. This is what we want to do. This is how we're going to do it. The day of the election, there will be direct, visible, viable, timely, seen, immediate transmission of this result to INEC IREV. Real time. If this statement is made as verbal declaration and in writing, you must be held accountable to that. And if you fail to deliver on that, people will lose confidence in that process. And public trust can only be garnered when they see public office holders honor their words and honor the text of their writing. This report has proved conclusively that INEC failed to honor this. It's not the politicians, not the media, it's not the voters. That's number one. Number two, if INEC has a window to say, okay, we pause after collation to look at all the issues raised by all the contending parties before we can go ahead and press on with announcing who either won or who didn't win. And if fail to deliver on that, even when the law specifies you should do so, your own law, you are comfortable with, then you are deliberately planning to fail. That failure is producing election without democracy in two directions, like I said initially. The election itself is not democratic. The system itself is not democratic.
All right, you've watched the prof there. He's always somebody who says things the way they are. The truth is, this particular man is yet to get into the bad books of Nigerians. So we will take what he says for a respected advice from an elder, because this is what he said seems like. Let's hope that the judges involved in the tribunal would actually make judgments that will depict the upholding of justice in Nigeria. Before I call it quits and before I give you a final update, which will blow your mind, I would love to say to our viewers, most lovely, thank you for always keeping faith with us. Please like our videos. Please do so. It's very, very important. If you are yet to do that, do so. Then let your family members, friends, and well-wishers tell them to come subscribe to this channel so that we will continue to, share this content of ours so it could go viral, so the country can know what is happening around and when things are going wrongly, all right? Then don't also forget to tap the notification bell so that you will be reminded to always link up with us anytime we are dropping a new content. Finally, as you do, drop a comment for us in the comment section. These things make us go viral. Alright, finally now on the updates, I have a video. I brought you something that said, that spoke about the fact that the Niger Delta, Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs was scrapped out. Now, this group, the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, has come again to ask fearlessly now President Bola Tinibu to quickly reinstate the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs with immediate effect. Some of you might ask, let me not really break the ice. Watch this video. When we come back, I will tell you what I want to break to you. Stay tuned.
What happens if every other region demands a ministry for that region. You know, I'm sure you are aware of what led to the creation of the Ministry of Niger Delta region. It's a region that produces more than 80% of the resources of this country. And therefore, nothing can be too much to invest in that region. And when you consider the environmental impact, the degradation that the people of the Niger Delta region and the suffering of the people of Niger Delta region, you even find that the lifespan of an average Niger Delta person, the average lifespan is very low because of the emissions that we inhale, the environmental impact. Look at the oil spill that just occurred a few days ago. So you know that there is nothing that would be too much to give to the region that produces the golden egg for this country. The issue is that people have deliberately underfunded that ministry since its inception. And we are calling for proper funding of that ministry. The East-West Road was started and funding has not even been provided for the road for the past 15 years. So we are therefore calling for proper funding of the ministry rather than just allowing the ministries to stay. We are calling for proper funding of that ministry so that it can be able to carry out its core mandate.
Okay, some people may ask, what if every geopolitical zone or region in Nigeria demands a ministry? Well, you heard it from the spokesperson there. He said the Niger Delta is that region, not just a region, is that region that produces up to 80% of the golden egg that milks the economy and that skyrockets the revenue and the money-making venture in the country called Nigeria. Though it's not properly managed, but right now, it is that particular natural endowment or national resource that gives Nigeria almost half, if not all of its funds, aside the funds that are being borrowed. So hence the reason why that particular region should have a ministry of its own to coordinate affairs there. Thank you so much for staying with us. I hope you enjoyed our updates together. See you next time. From our table, we are calling it quits. Bye.